Welcome back to another episode of the Salford RTG Career Mode, where we are Premier League. I can't believe I'm saying that. We are Premier League. Our first 5 fixtures, I don't think you're ready for this. We are getting thrown in the deep end in our first 5 fixtures. We started off with Manchester City, and then at Newcastle, or home to Newcastle. We have hopefully a winnable game against Wolves, and then Spurs and Man United in back-to-back games. That is unfortunate. So we are being put in the gauntlet to start this season here and start our life of Premier League football, where I expect us to be fighting relegation for all of the season. We have 37 million to spend, and what I think I want to do now is kind of change the narrative of this team. If you see here, and just looking by the screen, there is 2 real-life players. I want to change that. I want to kind of go back to bringing in more real-life players. I know we're about 5 seasons deep in now. This is the 5th season, so I know these generate players are going to become a lot more common later and later we get into there. But I kind of want to bring back some of the real lifeness into the squad. So yeah, and a lot of these guys anyway, a lot of these youth academy guys are on the chopping block anyway. We have transfer listed pretty much a lot of these guys that are 65 and under overall, in all honesty. So they will all be on the chopping block. Santos is our kind of marquee signing at the moment, 74 overall. And in fact, our entire squad is full. Because we have 52 players, our entire squad is full. We can't sign anyone in here. We have been working on a couple of transfer deals. I did bring up a short list as well. We'll look at that. I'm looking to loan out Evanson. Nice is not going to be on the transfer list. He is safe with us. We do have 2 transfer offers, though, for 2 of our better players. One for Atletico Madrid for Luis Martin. One for RB Leipzig for our goalkeeper, who I'm more reluctant on letting leave, but I will let leave if given the right amount of money. I am going to work on Luis Martin first, though, because if I can sell him, I can bring somebody in at 74 overall, and then we can kind of cheese the system. That way we still have a 74 overall benchmark to sign players. To be completely honest, I'm completely cheesing the heck out of it. So we are going to work on Luis Martin. If we can sell him, which we almost kind of have to bring in anyone else, we'll sell him and bring him in and bring somebody else in to then sell Santos. So let's go ahead and negotiate. They think we can get around 14 to 15 million. I'm going to try and get around 15 to 16 million. 16.5 million is exactly what we offer. They don't see that at all. Wow. It was only around, it was like, what, 1.6 million above their kind of max valuation of it. And they are storming out the club. I mean, all right. I'm being completely honest. I'm going to reject Santos then. Santos will stay for now. We'll just wait till we sell a free agent. And I believe this is Evanson walking out the front doors. Elias Evanson on loan to Sturm Graz for the season. Our first loanee is gone. And we say goodbye to Namai. He walks out the front door off to the MLS to Seattle for $1 million. Kelly Namai, you did a service for us, but your time is over here at the club. We also say goodbye to Bobby Miles. He's off to Loads for $830K. And then we say goodbye to Lucas Wright. He's off to France for $1.3 million. The one player I for sure was going to bring back to the squad has just ticked over into the 75 rating. That is unfortunate. He is 75. We cannot sign him anymore. Koza Dewberry, we wanted to make him permanent. That's unfortunate, but we can look somewhere else then. In the first signing of our Premier League era, it's a center defensive midfield, a 21-year-old, technically wonder kid, I guess, Marc Bernard, who's obviously a Barcelona wonder kid. He comes over from Barcelona. He comes over from Fulham for 5.6 million. Welcome to the squad, welcome to Salford, and welcome to our forever home in the Premier League. Hopefully we don't get relegated at all, but I expect us to be in that fight. But Marc Bernal, hopefully you can keep us out of it. In the interest of at least not adding more generated players and just keeping at least somewhat level of a mix possibly, We wanted to bring in Santiago Cuevas back to the club on a permanent deal, and him into Flyer will go ahead and just battle it out. So we are going to go ahead and swap Jose Hidalgo, who comes back from loan as a 71 overall. We're going to try and do a straight swap deal, see what they say. I expect them to. Oh, they only want 800K more, which in all honesty, you can have the 800K more plus a 20% selling clause. Santiago Cuevas will be coming back to Salford on a permanent deal once we go ahead and get wages and contracts all that under the way. A transfer offer for Santos from Bayern Munich. Do you have a goalkeeper that is 74 overall? The answer is no. Proposed transfer offer. The board said we can get close to 17 million. I'm a keep it at 17 and see what they say. I'm not going to try and go too crazy over the board because I don't want them to instantly walk out. And I think they might even walk out at 17. They went 9.8. They are sticking close. I'm getting at least a minimum 14 from this deal. So I will go down to 16 million. And honestly, kind of maximum I kind of want to do is 15, to be honest. But we will go ahead and do this. We will go ahead and go down to 15.5. We won't go to 15.5. We'll just go to 15. See what they say to that. If they walk out, they walk out. They walk out. I'm sorry. You're going to have to pay big bucks. We're in the Premier League. We're not in the Championship. We are in the Premier League. We do have another transfer offer, though, for them from Frankfurt. We're going to go ahead and negotiate here. Try and get 14 to 15 million again from Frankfurt. Another German, not necessarily giant, but German team here. 17 million. See what they say. They might instantly walk out. They do instantly walk out. I half expected that one. I can't lie. Well, I mean, if you're coming for Santos, you're paying the big bucks. Sorry, we're in the big league. We're not in the Championship. You got to pay up. We have our third signing of the summer. I don't really want to sign every single player just off the rip, so I'm trying to space it out, but I'm trying to get positions that I know we at least need to cover in. And so 8 Budal comes in as a center back. I want competition for Chambers. I don't know how much longer Rump is growing as a center back, so he comes in for Budal, somebody that I've been looking at. He's kind of been on my short list for a couple seasons now, in fact. So welcome to the club, welcome to Salford. 5.4 million around there, we bring him in. And I think this is our striker leaving. It is Luis Martin, the top goal scorer of the Championship. It was only a matter of time. We got a transfer offer that actually formed into something. He's off to the Dutchlands with Ajax, the youth factory of the world. He's going there. We get 11 million for him. I do have a striker lined up to replace him. I was kind of waiting for him to get offered, though, to go ahead and bring in a striker. But we had a couple on the short list, and I guess it's time to act on that and bring them into the club here. We get 11 million for Martin. His time over here at Salford is over, alongside a couple more players. There's a lot more players I sold and kind of loaned out that I haven't shown y'all. I'll go through it in a minute, but Luis Martin is gone. When we go ahead and trigger this guy's release clause, Samson Tovide, 72 overall striker. He will come into the squad here. He will have to prove to himself that he is Premier League ready. He has to prove to me that he's Premier League ready. Unfortunately, with the low ratings that we have, that we are max to 74, I just went ahead and brought in a 72 overall because honestly, he looks like the best of the lot. That was a real-life player and not a generated player. The good players, the decent-ish players, are kind of 75 at the moment. So there is that. But Samson Tovidi coming to the squad. Welcome to Salford. You'll be our new number 9. Seeing as we couldn't bring in Kozer Dewberry anymore because he is at that he's an overall higher than our max, we have to go shopping and we find this guy, KD Gordon, Englishman, all right winger, currently playing at Stade de Brest in this save. He's now over at Salford. We pay 4.5 million for him. Welcome to the squad. Now it's time to still get rid of some of these youngsters. And to be honest, if I don't start selling them, I might just start releasing them. That way they're still in the database, obviously, but then they'll maybe get some game time somewhere else. All right, as we get closer and closer to our first game of this season, we are going to go through some of the transfers. There's been a lot of players kind of just sold just through the back end, chopping down our youth-generated players here. We'll start with Elise Evanson, who's loaned out. Namai, who's been sold. I'm honestly not going to show you every single. I'm not going to talk about every single one. If you want to see who's gone and who's here, then just pause it. But we'll go ahead and just kind of scroll through it. That way you can see who has joined and who has left. Obviously, a lot of these guys were never going to get game time here. I mean, a lot of these guys were never going to get game time here at the club. The most noticeable one, though, is Luis Martin, who was going to be our #1 striker, but he's been sold to Ajax for 11.5 million. But a lot of these guys, especially, they're all being sold for under 1 million. Most expensive one so far has been 2 million, besides Martin, obviously. And then Brun has been the latest, has been on the chopping block off to Orlando for 1.2 million. Our squad size is still significantly large and filled with a lot of generated players and a lot of players that definitely don't belong here. But we are down to 37. The highest overall is Santos and Mark Bernal. I actually haven't gotten another transfer offer for Santos since the Bayern Munich bundle. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, but I feel bad for not selling him to Bayern Munich, to be honest. But they just didn't want to pay what the board said we could pay for. Now, we needed a backup striker, so we go ahead and go to Bournemouth and bring in Adu Ajay. Welcome to the squad. He is the same rating as Samson Tovide, but he will be a backup player for him. Welcome to the squad for, I actually don't remember how much I spent for him. It wasn't that much, maybe 2 mil? 3 million exactly. Welcome to the club, Dan. And at the moment, this is our squad. This is our starting lineup in the bench at the moment. We have Sacco, who remains at left wing. We have Samson Tovidi at striker. Gordon on the right. DeFio and Cuevas are going to fight for that cam spot. High and Bernal in the midfield holding it down. Reverend Rump, Ain't Budal, and Storm in the starting line. Santos as our current goalkeeper, at least for now. On the bench, we have Adu Ajay. We have Baron. We have Asamoah. We have Cuevas. We have Lefebvre, Vander Lin, Nice, Chambers, and Mayor. So still a presence of youth-generated players. And talking about youth-generated players, we still have 3 in here. We went ahead and promoted some of the guys that were in the youth academy. And I am going to do something I said I was going to do last season, where we have 3 scouts going to 3 nations for the entirety of the season. On the 3rd of April, we'll go ahead and look at the players. And anybody that is in here, we'll bring in. But we will go ahead and possibly bring in 1 player for now, at least. Remember, since we are in the Premier League, the max cap is whatever it wants to be. So technically 94, really, because I believe 94 is a max that EA gives you anyway. So we're already at that, and that's our max anyway, would be 94. So we're just going to look to see if anybody's good enough to bring in, like Jake Cole, something like that, Lucas Biken, something like that. We're just going to look, and honestly, no. So everybody here will stay there, and then come the end of the season, we'll go ahead and bring somebody else in here. And honestly, it looks like nobody here is going to be good enough to be brought in. The only one, oh, maybe that guy. Who's that? Who's this last guy here? This left winger, Diego Javer. He's 14 years old, though. All right, so nothing there. So we'll come back on that on April 3rd to figure out who we'll bring in. If I remember, there's a real possibility that I just go ahead and do it anyway. It's our first Premier League game, and I am not playing the Big Six at all. We will never play the Big Six in the first season of Premier League football, but with it being the first game of the season, we will at least watch it through. So we are tactical viewing this game here against Manchester City. I expect to get absolutely murdered here against City. And what I might have to start doing is putting the keyboard in and making sure the team is as strong as it possibly can, because I suspect that this is going to be a rotating Manchester City side, because EA are horrible at the job. And they probably register that we're League 2, not in the Premier League, so they're probably playing a rotated team. I do see Holland starting. I do see Rodri starting. So it's somewhat decent. But I expect them to be some good players on the bench, and I'll confirm that in a second. And so let's go ahead and look at their lineup here. Not our lineup. We want to look at Manchester City's lineup and see who's on the bench. Luis Diaz starts. Erling Haaland, Phil Foden, Brecken. See, there's a weak point already. Camavinga, Rodri. So Brecken is the weakest point so far. Alejandro Balde, Romero, Bataglia, and then Kabori at right back. Hernan Marson in net. They have Fati at 76, at 79, at 77, at 84. Pavlovic can play in the midfield for sure. Romanoli, Alves, Prieto, I don't know where he is, what position he is, but he can probably start and probably should be starting. And then Ederson should be starting instead of their keeper at the moment. It's a little unfortunate, but it's still a hell of a lot stronger than our team anyway. I expect to get absolutely pummeled here. And Erling Haaland might score the first goal already. Santos with his first save of Premier League football. How long will he be part of this team? If we get to January, I'm a hell of a lot more reluctant in January to sell. It's Brecken in the box. Phil Foden back to Brecken. Haaland offside. Saved anyway by Santos. Luis Diaz into Erling Haaland. He holds off Budal, and Erling Haaland strikes in Manchester City. It's taken them a little bit longer than I expected, but they finally have that lead. It's the Norwegian giant himself to take it from us. Saka! Oh no! We came so close to scoring our first goal of Premier League life. It's the last one of the first half. It's crossed in. It's headed. Santos makes a save. Halftime down 1-0 to Manchester City. Foden, back post. Revan did well to somewhat deal with it. He will concede a corner. The fact we're only losing 1-0 to City is actually tippable as hell. Sacco down the left-hand side. Sacco into Tovide. Samson Tovide! Just wide. Tovide! Samson Tovide! We draw a level with Manchester City. And the striker to replace Martin is scoring the first goal of our Premier League era here. What a ball by Sacco into Tovide. Vamos. Kamavinga to take the lead back in. Yep, I knew that wasn't going to last long. Manchester City have the lead back. Our fairy tale story ends pretty immediately. We will lose this game as expected. But it was nice to have a little bit of hope. And we are going to lose our first Premier League game in our life here. It's as expected because it's Manchester City. But the fact we scored against them and we were tied on them for a matter of moments is something to take away from this game. A 2-1 loss. Newcastle United, I fully expect to lose this one as well. And a 3-0 loss. We lose Gordon and a brace for Butler. Back-to-back losses in Premier League life. We are going to go ahead and play a game in this episode. I just didn't want it to be transfers, and I know we had a simulation view versus Manchester City, but I did want to play with this team here, and I know it's not Premier League. It is against Crawley Town in the Carabao Cup, but maybe we can use this to get some confidence back in the boys, get a win under the belt. Only one change from the default starting lineup. That is Cuevas starting instead of DeFlio. Everybody else is in the remainder. Anderson, John Jules, Armando Santos doesn't make the save. It came off of the post, and Crawley Town have the lead. Cuevas into Gordon. Gordon over the top for Samson Tovide. Header on target, onside, 1-1. Instant reply. And Samson Tovide has his second goal. High into Sacco. Sacco into Cuevas. Cuevas now onto his left foot, and Santiago Cuevas takes the lead for Salford. It's 2-1 here. Cahill into John Jules, stopped. Bugardo intercepted by Faye, or High, or whatever his name. I forgot his name, to be honest. It's Gordon. It's Samson Tovide into space, and Samson Tovide now. Samson Tovide on the ground low, no power in it. He's saved. In the box, it's cleared. Cahill intercepted by Baidu. Bernal now on the ball. Cuevas. Santiago Cuevas. In for Tovide. Tovide into Sacco. Sacco back to Tovide. In for Gordon. And for his first goal of Premier League life. Technically, not really. But his first goal. In for Salford, at least at the minimum. And we will go ahead and jump to result. To be completely honest, I'm I need some sleep. I can't even speak English. I need some sleep. We win 3-1 on the day. We are into the next round of the Carabao Cup. When we come back next episode, we will play our first Premier League game of the season against Wolves. We are among 5 teams that have not won a single game yet, but it won't get easier because we'll get slammed by Tottenham and Man United back to back, and then Leeds and Bournemouth will be our next 2 games. But we're at the transfer window as well to try and get rid of some more of these youngsters and possibly bring in maybe 1 or 2 more players into the squad, possibly. Who knows? Don't really want to fill out the squad too much. Kind of spread it out. Maybe come in back in January and spend some more of that money. But for now, that's me done today. Leave a like, subscribe, and peace out.